Now, let me tell you why I'm filled with both trepidation and excitement, because we're joined in the studio by three British parliamentarians. Diane Abbott, who's MP for Hackney North and Stoke Newington, Dawn Butler, who represents the people of Brent East, and Bell Ribeiro-Addy, who's MP for Clapham and Brixton Hill. And we also have in the studio CEO of global data protection firm Hayward Mills, founder of Protect Black Women, Diane Hayward Mills. Ladies, you're welcome to the Asaase Breakfast Show.
Hey, good morning.
Yes. Okay. Now I'm feeling the warmth in your voices, and I think the trepidation has died down.
Good.
You know, but happy to have you in our studios, and all three of you. Diane, I'll come to the project Protect Black Women, but all three of you. And by three of you, I'm referring to you, Bell, Dawn, and Diane, have broken barriers in British politics, representing black communities within British Parliament today. In, say, a minute and a half each, would you be able to sort of share what has inspired your journeys into public service? I'll start with you, Diane. Seems everyone's voting to have you speak first.
Well, first of all, let me say what a fabulous radio studio this is.
Yes.
I go into radio studios all the time in the UK, including the BBC, and I've never been in one as fabulous as this.
Thank you.
What inspired me? My family came to this country in the 1950s. They're what we call in the UK the Windrush generation. Mm-hmm. But then I was privileged to go to Cambridge University, and I could see the gulf between my parents and their friends and how elite white people lived and how they were. And I've committed a lifetime to trying to narrow that gap, more justice, more equality.
Wow. Now, succinctly put. Bell?
Oh, I thought you were going to go with Dawn.
Go on.
Well, I actually started as a student activist, and I got involved through actually just at university tackling a few injustices that I saw some of my fellow students face, and then it became apparent that everything that I wanted to do involved some sort of a change in the law. The problem is I wasn't too sure about politics or politicians. But I was able to meet some great politicians like Diane and Dawn, and I eventually ended up working for Diane for 10 years. And even then I was quite hesitant about the idea of being a politician, but seeing so many brilliant black women come before you and actually be able to make a difference, even small differences have, changed things in our country. So that's something that definitely inspired me. And I knew there was so much more work to do, and why not? I mean, I get the opportunity to represent the community that I've lived in my whole life. Why not me?
Wow, fantastic stuff. Dawn, how about you?
Yeah, so it wasn't something that I wanted to do, like be a politician. Politicians are not that sort of revered, like in the UK, and it's an extremely tough gig, I can tell you. But in a way, I was drawn to the political activism for wanting to make the community and the world better. And what the other MPs haven't told you. So Diane was the first black female MP ever to be elected to a UK Parliament. I was the first black female minister ever to serve in a government under Gordon Brown. And now we have Bell, who's the UK's global envoy for Ghana. Mm-hmm. And the wonderful thing coming to Ghana and being in this amazing studio is that when you come to Ghana and they say welcome home, you actually feel like you are home. And I know we're going to come to Protect Black Women later, but it was something that we didn't know we needed until you received it. And when you receive it, it's been incredible.
Now, this is wonderful. Three different perspectives, but there's one common thread in there, that you all lived in an environment that showed you that, yes, there's a lot of work to do, but then you also had a voice. How important is it for females to have a voice? And what do we need to do in this part of the world to encourage that voice to be resounding? After all, you constitute more than 50% of the population.
Yeah, globally. But
Yeah.
but women are always at the front of every movement. You always see them at the front of every march. You will see them at the front of the household holding it together. And so why not hear their voice?
Yeah.
Why silence their voice?
Absolutely. Dan, what's your take on that?
I think that one of the things that's necessary for women to have a voice is for them to see other women in invisible positions. Because if you don't see other women, whether you're African or whether you're British, you don't think that you yourself can do it. And the other thing, in order for women to have a voice, is that the society as a whole has to think it's important, because women have so much to offer and so much to contribute. And I find in politics, women are often the most practical and serious.
I think there'll be fewer wars if there are more women leaders.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure of that. I'm pretty sure there'll be less egos in any room, and you'd jaw better. I think at this point, Diane Hayward-Mills, I'd like to bring you in this. You founded Protect Black Women. What was the inspiration behind that?
Sure. I guess, again, it's much like, as has been said before, the feeling that there was a need for us to found a movement by us and for us. And it actually came on the back of a horrendous attack on Diane Abbott, MP, longest standing MP, for doing her job.
Right.
And a very powerful white man who donated huge sums of money to a political party was able to incite her murder publicly without any repercussions whatsoever. And, you know, to me, Diane is my mother. She's my auntie. She's my sister. And for a black woman to be so publicly attacked like that, I just felt we need to protect ourselves now. You know, there's some points where you feel a line is crossed and there needs to be action taken. So this movement is part of my activism. You know, I run a very successful global business, and I feel like I'm in a position of privilege, and I want to use my privilege for purpose. So hence establishing Protect Black Women, and it's great to be here in Ghana to establish what we call the Accra Principles on our homeland. You know, Ghana has been a place of progression for me and protection. So it was very apt that the stars aligned in this way for us to be here in this moment, establishing the Accra Principles.
Right. Now, Bell, in your experience, would you say that compared to Ghana, the UK has provided the systemic changes that amplify the voices of women, and if not, where are the gaps, and how do you think we can improve it?
I think it's slightly different in terms of the way society runs. Now globally, women are underrepresented in positions of power, and that's the same as prevalent as it is in the UK as it is in Ghana. However, in Ghana, there's a different kind of reverence for women, the way we respect our elders, the way we treat women in families. But I suppose can be the same in the UK. They always end up doing the work. They're always the ones that you go to for the information. They're the ones that are running the businesses, but ultimately they are not the ones that hold the power. So on paper, I think the UK is doing well, because on paper we have some excellent equalities legislation. It's not always adhered to in the way that it should be, but in practice, and I think just from the way society is, Ghana's slightly better, but on paper as well it's not. And in both places, women do not have near enough power.
Very exciting conversation, I must add. Nhyira, please, you're not going to run away from this conversation. I'm not going to be I'm in touch with my feminine side, but I'm not going to leave this conversation with you around. Very important. And I think the trepidation is outweighing the excitement.
No. I'll say what I'm willing to do is ask a couple of questions, but we like seeing your feminine side. It's very nice to have it in the studio with these wonderful guests that we have with us today. I suppose I was interested that you all, in different ways and to different degrees, seem to have this bond with Ghana. You mentioned the sense of welcomingness that you feel, which obviously we wouldn't have beyond the return. It wouldn't have reached the stage of popularity that it did if there wasn't something that attracted you to Ghana in particular. It's a long time, though, since Ghana was the beacon of independence for sub-Saharan Africa. So, Diane, what keeps you coming back to Ghana?
Oh, because I believe that people who are born in the Caribbean ultimately come from West Africa. So West Africa is genuinely our home. And I also know that one of the leading drivers of independence in Africa was Kwame Nkrumah. So it's very emotional for me to come back. And we went to an exhibition of all his history and his family and his photographs. And I found that incredibly moving, because in a way, if Kwame Nkrumah hadn't offered that leadership, maybe a lot of us wouldn't be where we are.
But Jamaica, where your parents are from, of course, plays a beacon role in the Caribbean as well. And of course, you have a son who is partly Ghanaian and actually schooled in this country. Does that give you an extra draw factor?
Oh yes, my son is half Ghanaian. His father's from Ghana. And he knew from a very early age all about Jamaica, the food, the people, the slang, the language. But because me and his father separated, he didn't know Ghana at all. And I think it's very important to know your culture. And so he went to school in Britain, but then in the sixth form, I sent him back to Ghana for 2 years. He was a little dubious about it at the time, but he now says it's the best thing I could have done.
Really? Yeah. And I've met the young man in question, and I think he's a tribute to that formative experience. A very beautiful, grounded young man. Dawn, if I could ask you, other than maybe having a few Ghanaian constituents, and of course Brent East, the constituency that you represent, famously in the past celebrated by one of the pioneers, that 1987 group that entered Parliament, including Paul Boateng. He was the MP, wasn't he, for Brent? Was it Brent East? Or it was then Brent Central?
It was Brent South then.
Brent South. It's split in so many ways.
Yes, it has. The boundaries have changed a number of times.
Yes, you have even gone through a bit of a boundary change.
Yes.
But other than having some Ghanaian constituents, what is one of the draw factors to Ghana for you?
I think this is my second trip to Ghana. So the first time I came from the Guba Awards.
Oh, right.
And that was like an amazing display of black excellence. And sometimes I think we take that for granted, and it's like very easy when you come here, when you see the art on the walls everywhere you go, it's very easy to forget that you miss that, right? Because, you know, the UK is like my country, it's amazing, I love the UK, but being here has sort of filled my cup, you know, it's recharged my batteries, and now I'm able to go back re-energized, ready to take on the fight, the abuse, and all of that. So this time has been different because it's been more of a cultural experience. As Diane has said, we've been to exhibitions, we've been to the Gold Coast, we've been, you know, the culture experience with black women who some I had not met before, and we found a bonding, and so we've found that special thing that's going to carry us through all together. And I just feel that globally, as I say, black women at the front are so many things, so globally I feel now is more of a time than ever where different generations can blend together and build together and lay a solid foundation. So each generation are now able to join together, whereas we didn't have that before. Like, you know,
you're all in your different departments.
Exactly.
Atomized. So a kind of drawing together of things, and as you said, it's been a real cultural experience for you. Bell, for you, there's a direct Ghanaian connection. You're of Ghanaian descent, as people would guess from the surname Ribeiro-Addy. You are also the trade envoy for the UK to Ghana,
yes,
which I'm sure Kwaku will want to ask you a bit more in a moment. To what extent is Ghana a place like home, or is it an actual home for you?
Well, if home is where your parents are, which is where it often is, it's very much home. My parents retired, both of them finally retired here in 2015. So since then, I've been here at least once a year, sometimes more.
Wow.
You know, you've got cousins that get married.
Yeah.
You have grandparents that sadly pass away.
Yeah.
My dad passed last year as well. So you have, thank you. So you have that connection. You're coming back and forth all the time. And now I'm the UK's Trade Envoy to Ghana. I'm here. I'm here even more. But I love coming to Ghana, especially after, because it was usually Christmas that I come, not for Dirty December. It's just December. Sometimes it's, as Dawn said, we love home, but there are challenges there. And one of the challenges is being treated in a way that you can't control just because of the colour of your skin. So when you come home and you come to Ghana and you're just accepted, it's a huge weight off your shoulders. You can really relax and just be yourself, be free from that stress. But it is very much a holiday. If you stay for a little bit too long, in my case, it stops feeling like a holiday. So,
The work starts.
The work starts. So it's
How
good to
many
visit.
companies have you toured this time round?
I couldn't tell you. There've been so many.
back to back.
Yeah, and so many meetings. And people are really, really enthused. And I think it shows that the UK are taking their relationship with Ghana seriously. My government know what Ghana means to me, and as do Ghanaians. So I think having someone of Ghanaian heritage in that role that is going to try and do their best to, as they've said, reset the relationship, make trade beneficial for both countries, shows that they want to engage, shows that they really want to build those relations. So we're just looking forward to what could be done. And there are so many opportunities in Ghana. And actually we want to see what the diaspora can do. The diaspora can invest. I read somewhere that remittances coming into Africa, $96 billion a year. Yeah. $96 billion a year. That's more than all of the aid combined and foreign direct investment. Is huge. And really that type of financial leverage should be put in towards industrializing and development. Again, not aid, because the idea of aid is an issue for a number of different reasons, but actually building our communities, and there are a number of different ways that can happen. So I'm excited for the future.
Well, if this was the movies, I'd say you were typecasted for the role. But in line with the ultimate goal of the Protect Black Women Foundation and your role as a trade envoy, how important do you see work that empowers woman-owned or woman-led businesses to control the height of our economy or the trade between UK and Ghana?
One of the things that people don't know about the economic partnership agreement that we have and our trade relations between the UK and Ghana is that there is tariff-free trade. We've got Trump running around the world putting tariffs on different people, but between the UK and Ghana, for example, for the UK to bring certain machinery and products that are related to industry, like concrete, etc., anything infrastructural type stuff, that's all tariff free. And for Ghana, textiles, agriculture, that is all tariff free. And I think about the women from the markets, Mokola from Kumasi, up in the north, the women producing the shea butter, all of them have fantastic products that could be sold to the UK market. Right. They, have for many, many years, because of our unfair global practices, been receiving a really, really, I think, bad deal on a lot of these things. But as we open this up a bit more, I think it's important to look at how they can get these things packaged and taken away. And also there's a huge problem with, I suppose, extraction, and that has always been the case with the African continent, extracting everything. I'm thinking about cocoa. There's very, very few chocolate bars that are made in this country. I think it's 1% in this country, whereas all of the cocoa is taken out and produced here. But Ghana could make its own chocolate and then produce that one and send that off once packaged. We have got a fantastic British company here called Blue Skies. Yeah. And that's one of the factories I went to, and I actually saw them packaging the mangoes that I eat from Tesco or Marks and Spencer's. They were packaging it right here, putting it into a cold store, putting it on the British Airways flight, and it was going to appear in the Sainsbury's round the corner from my house the next day. So, the possibilities are endless. And for women who are often, when you see an image of a farmer, it's usually a man with a hat on and a cane or something. But actually, here in Ghana, a lot of the farmers are women.
That's true.
A lot of them are women. So it could be so economically empowering for them.
Now let's shift. If you just tuned in, it's 9:45. We're talking to Bell Ribeiro-Addy. She's the MP for Clapham and Brixton Hill. And you just heard her voice. You'll be hearing Dawn Butler in a moment, who's MP for Brent East, and then Diane Abbott, who is MP for Hackney North and Stoke Newington. Whenever I hear Stoke Newington, I remember bus 69. And we'll also be hearing from Diane Heward-Mills, who's the founder of Protect Black Women, where we have black women in the studio, and I'm a black man who is in touch with his feminine side. So you could say that it's all black women in this, and a black woman's rep in the studio.
Allies are important, and it's not like for the exclusion of men at all. It's all about inclusion, and then just showing the glory of women who are often held back or silenced.
Fantastic. I would like to look at the Commonwealth. Okay, there's more than 2.7 billion or so. I think it's a little bit more than that of trade available to the members of the Commonwealth. How can we reshape the Commonwealth to reflect the lived realities of women and their aspirations of the women in the former colonies like Ghana?
Well, I would say there are two things in relation to the Commonwealth. One is, as my colleague Bell just raised, is Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump has put in these huge tariffs between the UK and Europe. And this, I think, is obliging Britain to look at its trade relationship with Commonwealth members. So we can just tell Donald Trump kind of where to go. And the other thing I would say is that Britain has seen its relationship with the Commonwealth as one of almost servitude with former Commonwealth countries, and we need to build an economic relationship, but build a relationship as equals. And finally, immigration. It seems to me extraordinary that Britain likes going about the Commonwealth, but in terms of migration, we're not given that equality, we're not given that fairness. And Bell and Dawn and myself have to deal every day with Commonwealth citizens who are treated so badly by the British immigration system.
Dawn, I know you're itching to add to that, but I wanted you to, and still in light of the Commonwealth, if you look at the foundations of the Commonwealth, would you say that the Commonwealth as a platform is capable of providing gendered justice and healing in spite of its foundation?
Yeah, absolutely. But can I just pick up, and Diane just mentioned about how some people were treated like our constituents from the Windrush generation, and we've got Jacqueline Mackenzie as well, who's in the studio, who is a leading lawyer that's done a lot on Windrush and bringing justice to those people. But yes, I mean, I think in a way, and picking up also on what Bell said, the clues in the name, like, what is our Commonwealth as countries? And actually, I'm at first with Trump, I was really kind of, shocked to know, you go through all those emotions. And then I thought, well, this is actually a really good thing for us, because it's making us look at what we produce, what our wealth is in our country, in Africa, what we can do together to build together. So when I read about sort of Trinidad and Nigeria opening up the flight path, I was like, yes, why are you flying through the UK and the US to get to each other's country when you can just have a straight line? So this is making us this is making us expose the injustices and the lies and the servitude that's always been there. Because why was it there? It was brought in through violence and control. Well, we don't need that now. We're wiser now. You've got different generations getting together now. So actually, I feel Africa United is just one of the most beautiful, powerful things that I hope I'm going to see in my lifetime. And it will need, for some, a change of leadership. A change of direction. You know, some of the old guard, you know, will have to step aside, because, you know, the new generation will need to come up and lift and say, look, hang on, you know, this is our currency. It's quite funny, Ghana, when I said to somebody, will you take pounds? They're like, no. You know, we don't want no pounds. I was like, okay,
Wow.
that's cool. Do you know what I mean? It's cool. It's like, no, that's not our currency.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm loving that. There's no offense taken. You know, so I'm loving the possibility of Africa United.
Spoken like a true trade unionist. Diane, I would like to, fill this question on the thorny subject of reparation. At this point where we're at the confluence of tariffs and opportunity, is it something we should be pursuing?
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's a certain amount of there's resistance to it because the British, many of them, refuse to accept that the experience of empire was so painful, that the experience of empire meant we lost so many resources, that the experience of empire enriched them. So they don't want to talk about that. But the campaign around reparations begins with saying, actually, you did exploit us, you did brutalise us, and we want you to accept that. One of the issues, though, why people in Britain kind of shrink back when you say reparations is they think you're talking about money. And I don't think it's necessarily about money. I think, first of all, it's respect and acknowledging our experience as part of empire. But there's so many things that Britain could do, things that would help build a country like Ghana, which they should do, but they need to start by acknowledging how horrible and painful and exploitative the experience of empire was for us.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. I think it's easy for people when they say, "Oh, with this we built this wealth." It's like you built this wealth on slavery, on free labor. It's easy, you know. If you have a business, and you don't have to pay people. You will make a lot of profit.
I can imagine that. I can imagine that.
Also,
Diane,
I think we have to get
Bell.
away from the idea that it's a thorny subject. Because I don't think it should be. It's thorny for those that don't accept that they've done something wrong. And Diane pointed out correctly that it's about respect. And if we truly want to move forward as you know, globally as equal partners, we have to acknowledge what we did wrong. And first step is saying that we are sorry. And I always say that you only say sorry to your equals. So if you continue to not want to acknowledge this horrendous past, then you don't see people of African
Which means
descent
not a lot
as
has
equals.
changed in your mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Diane, protect black women.
Yeah.
I mean, what ways do you think Ghana can create an enabling environment where the voices of women are heard, and that will have no glass ceilings, and that the impact that women can and have made around the world, including the lives of the three parliamentarians we have here in the studio with us, can be seen as a reality among our young women here in Ghana?
So I think it's helpful to give some context. I'm of Ghanaian descent as well, as with Bell, and sadly both my parents have passed. My mother was the late Justice Iris May Brown, so she served as a judge in Ghana, and she was my first and biggest protector. And I didn't fully really understand the benefits of that cultural capital. So I was born in the UK but came to Ghana when I was very, very young. I was a baby and spent my formative years here. And I think what that does is you see black lawyers, black dentists, black accountants, and the expectation was always black excellence in my household. So when I moved to the UK at the age of 12, 13, I was always, had this sense of confidence and this sense of destiny and of doing something great with the opportunities that have been offered to me. And I think I sort of carry that forward, and I think about the lives of the girls that are coming up behind us and the level of protection that we can offer them. And that's something that we've been very, very much focused on. So we have, committed to ourselves to protect each other. And that's something that we've really sort of consolidated in this trip. And that when we start to protect self, we get a sense of how we can protect others. And I think that's the journey that, we are all on. It's been an absolute privilege to actually launch this campaign, campaign fully and globally in Ghana, as I mentioned earlier. And I think, yes, I carry the histories in me, but also think about the future and the future protections that we can offer and what that might mean economically also. We create this sort of a system of empowerment of women and girls. What is that going to do to the world? How is that going to shift the world? So yeah, I'm very, very excited about that sort of, the future possibilities.
Well, an empowered woman is an empowered economy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So if we want to change the story, it starts with how well we treat the woman. In furtherance of the vision of protecting black women, how can Ghanaians join this global sisterhood, whether you're male or female?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just the conversation, and I've been having some amazing conversations as part of this campaign. So, first thing is said, protect black women from what? And the Accra Principles set exactly what we want protection from in the home, in health, education, employment, online, under the law. So if you go to www.protectblackwomen.com, you will see what we have set out under our Accra Principles, and the information there is, I think, very, very powerful and impactful. You also have an opportunity to sign up to that protection, and actually as part of that sign up you're included in the movement, and as Bell mentioned, this is not exclusionary. We have a huge number of allies behind us and championing this movement, which to me is that's so exciting. We also provide safe spaces for black women to come and express and share their sort of oppressions that they've been going through, and to get the validation for that. So we're offering a huge range of sort of therapeutic support, counseling support, retreats that we all go on, including this one. Senior women who feel isolated in leadership, we say, come join us. We're going to hold you, we're going to hear you, we're going to respect you, and we're going to move forward together.
Fantastic stuff. Check the website, and I'm going to spend the rest of my morning getting very acquainted and signing the petition. But thank you so much, Diane Hayward-Mills, founder of Protect Black Women. To you, Diane Abbott, thank you so much. Dawn Butler and Bell Ribeiro-Addy. Thank you, ladies. And of course, oh God.
Jackie McKenzie.
Jackie's been hiding in the corner. But she's made it all possible. We're grateful for the time you spent with us. And yes, I will sign the petition. I will sign the petition.
You're welcome.
And we'll do what we can, because I think, I was raised by a single mother. And I can understand firsthand what an empowered woman is capable of doing. And I think that if we can all just rally behind the movement and bring about positive change, we won't only see women lead in numbers, but then we'll see positive impact all around. So thank you for doing this, and it's been great talking to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.